All right, test number 2. Let's try this again. Hopefully it works. Sharing my Excel sheet. All right, so here's my data for my Excel sheet. I collected all of the names of my immediate family members and their birthdays. And basically I wanted this to be a reference for me when to know when birthdays are and then to know more details about that. So in column C, we see that I have all the family members' names. Going to column E, I have their birthdays, which obviously I just manually inputted. F, I have their age, which I actually used a function. So I used the today function to get today's date and then subtracted their birthday. So that gave me basically a number of days it's been since their birthday, and then divided that by 365 to get how many years it's been. And then I used the round down function because I didn't want to see any decimal points, but I also, if I rounded it, it would round up to an age that they weren't yet. So I used the round down function. I have their gender, and then I have some gift options that I came up with that I thought would be applicable to each person. And then I have this gift budget, which I used a if statement. So basically, if the person is over 18, over or equal to 18, they're an adult, basically they get a gift budget of $25. If they're younger, they get 15. So that's how I use the if function. Over here, I just have some calculations. So for each month, how many birthdays cumulative are there, and then also what's the budget for that month. So I used a countif function for how many birthdays there were, a sumif function to create the budget. In order to create these calculations, I actually had to separate the month from the birthday, because at first I was trying to use just this birthday in this form, but since it's numbers, it didn't work. So I separately had to subtract the month from that using the text function, and then a function that I saw online on how to do that. So I have just the month in column B. And then column A I'll come back and mention later. Also, I want to mention where I use my I number, and my name is right here, Riley Lund, and I actually use my I number to come up with my fake birthday, because obviously I know what my real birthday is. So use my I number, inputted it, changed it to a date format, that is the date it came up with, and then obviously using the today function and that date, it said it was 91. Only way I could really think of using the I number creatively. So going to my dashboard, I have a section for month. I have the input here, July. So I also have a list that shows the different months. So I'm going to just click June. A change, show me the number of birthdays, just one. Total gift budget, 15. I'm used a sumif function to get that. Used a countif function to get the number of birthdays. Actually, I'm going to go to July, because in July we have multiple birthdays. So what I had to do here to get multiple cells, or I guess data from the VLOOKUP, was a little tricky. I spent a lot of time figuring out how to do this, because I've only ever brought over one thing from the VLOOKUP. So in order to do this, I had to go into my data and I had to create this helper list in row A. And basically my helper list has the month, then it has a colon, and then it has a number, and the number represents basically in this data set of column B, this is first, second, third, so on time that it shows up. So obviously September, this is the first time it shows up down here, September, oops. This is the second time that September shows up. So this helps when I did my VLOOKUP for my lookup value. I did the month from this input, and then I did and, added the colon, and then I did and then I, this C10 is basically, did I want it to be the first, the second, the third, or the fourth time that it reoccurred? And that is how I was able to get multiple lookups. That was a little tricky. Here I have an input for an individual family member. So obviously in July I see, okay, it's Lucy's birthday, I want to look at Lucy. So I also have a list here of all the family members. This uses VLOOKUP to pull in the birthday, the age, the gender, and the gift option and the budget. So pretty simple there. I also just created some charts that I thought would be helpful for me personally to see each month how many birthdays there were, so I could prep beforehand, and also the budget for each month, so I could see in September, you know, I have to spend $100 on gifts, whereas November, none. So I could kind of put that into my budget and just be planning ahead. So although this looks, you know, very simple, the hardest part was really figuring out how to use VLOOKUP to get multiple data sets over, and also figuring out how to calculate this age and use the round down function, which I had never used before. In total, this took me about 5 hours, maybe 6, about 5 hours to create, and I think it'll be very helpful for me in the future. So that is my final project.